Well, it's that time of year. We're coming into the summer holidays here in Australia. My favourite time of year to be on the water, and as it should be. Look at this, there's people fishing, swimming, people are having picnics on the water out with their family and friends, and that is great. But with this time of year comes a little bit of responsibility of us as captains of a boat. And by responsibility, I'm not just talking about your safety rules and regulations, but I'm talking about boating etiquette. What do we need to do, or what do we need to keep in mind when we're on the water to make sure all these people around us are also having a great time and we're not being too much of a nuisance? So whilst I'm sure there is a whole book written on this topic, today I'm just going to flag a few of the non-negotiables in my eyes as to what you need to be doing when you're on the water in terms of boating etiquette. Let's get into it. Now, of course, it all starts at the boat ramp before we get that boat in the water. And the main couple of points for me when it comes to boating etiquette here is just don't take too much time. Be prepared before you get down to the ramp. So it's called a rigging zone for a reason. It's not a parking zone. You'll see the signs there. And that's because it allows you to rig your boat before you get in the water. So straps off, bungs in, and just do a final safety check of your motor. Things like your batteries are working and make sure your trim is right. Certainly this is not a spot to be putting fishing gear in the boat or to be getting your lunch ready or whatever the case may be. You want to get in and get out. When I get to a ramp, I like to pull in, I like to do my final checks, get straight into the ramp, go park in the dedicated parking zone, and then I am out of there. The biggest tip I've got for you when it comes to boating etiquette, if someone needs a hand, just go lend them a hand. 1 or 2 minutes of your time will speed up the entire process for everyone else. I'm just navigating through a channel now. It's probably 70 meters wide and I've got my red and green markers on either side. Now, legally speaking, I can fly through this as quick as I want. There is no wash zones, no speed markers on either of these signs. However, boating etiquette says I should probably slow down because I've probably got a dozen boats around me recreating, fishing, swimming, having a picnic over there. There's some PWCs anchored up. So I should slow down, take consideration of my wake and the impact that's going to have on them, and just take it easy. So I can either get up on the plane because I know this boat produces zero wake when it's on the plane, or like I am right now, slow right down and just cruise through because I'm in no rush. So just because the sign doesn't say something doesn't mean you don't have to do it. Just take into consideration the people around you and what they might appreciate. Now, you know what one of the best parts about being on the water is? It's the serenity, it's the space, it's the quietness, it's that freedom of being out in places like this. And you know what people don't need when they're out enjoying those areas? Is people like you screaming past them in your boat at a rate of knots. Now, legally, 60 meters is the distance that you can fly past a swimmer, for example, or 30 meters at a boat at anchor. But I don't know about you, I still don't think that's enough. Now, we have so much open space out on a waterway, particularly like this, so use it. So if someone's anchored enjoying themselves and they got there first, they might be having a fish on their favorite spot, they might be anchored up with the family, having a swim, give them that extra room. Double the legal distance in your state or whatever your state regulations say, and just give them a wide berth. It's such a pleasure to be out enjoying places like this. So let's just take that into account, relax a little bit and give everyone just that little bit of extra space. I can assure you, when people return the favor for you, you'll appreciate it. So now it's time to throw the anchor in the water, but you got to understand how that anchor works. So you decide to anchor here, there's a boat up here, you got 20 meters of rope out, you're going to sit back there, great, you're in point A, how good's that? The conditions then change on you. Complete opposite. Now we've got a run out tide instead of a run in, and we've got a southeasterly instead of a northeasterly. Where do you think your boat's going to end up on a swing system like that? Straight back that way towards that boat. Now, if he's on a swing system too, you're good as gold, you're still going to have that room. But a lot of people are using electrically anchored systems like this one here, which means he's not going to move or she's not going to move, and you're going to end up very close to them. No good. So something to consider when you're anchoring is understand that conditions change. You're on a continually moving surface here. No 2 seconds are the same when you're out on the water, which means you've got to factor that into when you drop your anchor. Basic rule of thumb, give yourself more space than you need and understand that the conditions are going to change and you might need to re-anchor a couple of times throughout the course of that session. We've chatted about human etiquette, looking after other people when we're out on the water, but what about that environmental etiquette, looking after the environments like this, seagrass meadows, which is really the reason why I get out here. I love fishing around places like this. And one way we can do that when it comes to anchoring is instead of dropping the anchor, this big heavy anchor with 10 meters of chain on a seagrass meadow like that and ripping it all up, just come 10 meters this way or use your sunglasses, look in the water and find an area where you're not going to disrupt and destroy the environment like that, key habitats like that. So in this case, big long seagrass meadow runs all the way down on this side of the island. I've seen that, I've spotted it, I've come this way, I'm gonna drop the anchor here, and I know I'm not gonna disrupt any sand that's there. So let's protect this playground that we love for future generations, so when we come back out here in 10, 15, 20 years time, it looks somewhat similar. Well, I'm just pulling in to get myself a coffee and a toastie on the water, something I love doing. But this is a really great example of a situation where boating etiquette becomes really important. The reason for that is these places, wharves and jetties and cafes, become really popular in the summer holidays. And it means that you've got to take into account other people in their boat. So first step, be prepared. I've got my rope already ready to go. My shoes are on, my wallet's in my pocket. I know exactly what I need before I approach that jetty. So it's not a matter of getting in there and then, oh, I've got to jump back in the boat and get this when other people are trying to do the same thing. Now, I'm not going to take up this whole jetty here. There's either sides, there's plenty of spots, but if someone else wants to get in, I need to give them plenty of room. So I'm just going to take up this little corner. Got my rope ready to go. And it's as simple as that. I'm not taking up too much room. My prep was all done and ready to go before I approached the wharf. It's taking me a couple seconds. I'm gonna duck up, get my coffee, get my toastie, and then we're out of there for someone else to come in and do the same thing. Well, a bit of etiquette goes a long, long way. So this summer, whether you're fishing, you're boating, you're sailing, or you're just having a swim with some friends and family, look after one another, show a little bit of respect, and I promise you, your time on the water will be more enjoyable.